Hi guys, I'm here with Sara Garcia. And so Sarah is well, we talked about this before, but it's hard to label her, but she really is an energy medicine facilitator slash psychic energy. Like she does some amazing journeying and taps into your field and does some really crazy wild things. So welcome aboard, Sarah.
Hello, hello.
Okay, so let's get into okay. How did you get started with all this? Like, what would you say how this story started for you?
Oh, it could have started in 2009. A psychic had told me to buy selenite to put around my electronics. And so I walked into a crystal store. And at the time, the only way I could describe it was my hands lit up. I could feel them activate, right? And at the time, I just thought, oh, okay, I guess that's why people buy rocks. And I just started collecting whatever rocks made my hands vibrate, thinking everybody felt that, right? Fast forward to 2015, and at the time I would go to Agape. I live in Los Angeles. And on Fridays, they would have these events where practitioners would give like a 20-minute session for $20 type thing. And I didn't know what it was. I went in and did that. And I had such a major release on the table that then became a practice of mine. In 2016, it just got to where I couldn't be in my own thoughts anymore, where it just got too uncomfortable to be in my pattern. And I said, well, 2016 is going to be my year of listening. And and yeah, so my little brother had come to town and he had some issues. And I was like, yo, I'm taking you to Agape. And I'm putting my, kind of like our last extra $40 down, give him a double session. And when I was sitting there, I was thinking, man, I wish I was in there. And a woman who'd said hi to me when I came in turned and said, I'm giving her my session. And I was like, oh, wow, and when I was waiting in the hallway to go in, they have all of these flyers up, but there was just one of them that just like really pissed me off, honestly. It was like heal with the power of the angelic realm. And I was like, ugh, ugh. And I just had this like ugh reaction, which is crazy talk. And I went in and had the session and I mentioned to the practitioner about how my hands light up. And she was like, "Well, what do you mean your hands light up?" And when I said, like when you go into the sanctuary, and how your hands light up. And she was like, yo, that means you're supposed to be doing this. Go get a modality, any modality. I'm like, all right, well, I said it's going to be my year of listening. And I went and I called the number on the flyer, and everything just rearranged itself for me to be able to do that. And the first day it was so funny. And I found since that usually the thing that I have like the ugh, the first ugh,
Hmm.
is going to be something that's actually important for me to look at. Because I used to write letters to my angels. That same psychic was like, here, write letters to the angels. And that was kind of the way when I felt stuck that I kind of prayed. And yeah, after that, it was just kind of like one miracle after the other. And it was the modality is called integrated energy therapy. And and I was just so blown away by the experiences I was having, and then that somebody else would have an experience, to put your hand somewhere and think a thought, and like, whoa, and it was just the first time I'd found anything. I'll say this, I have 3 degrees, right? This workshop that I took was the first time I could not stop doing something. Right. It didn't matter if I got paid. It was just like, you want to try it? Like, can we practice? Like, can we see what happens? And it was such a joyful thing. And like I said, it was, one miracle after the
So,
other that was happening.
it was like an angelic energy healing thing.
Yeah. And
No,
well, yeah.
it's funny because in 2016, I was turning off airplanes accidentally with my energy, and I needed help because I was like it was gonna cause major trouble. Like when I would get mad, it would like turn the airplane off. So I was like to Googling, I turn the airplane off when I get mad. Nothing because okay, I need to figure out something's happening to the energy in my heart, blah blah blah. So I couldn't find anything online. It would just send me like spark plugs and like mechanical stuff of airplanes. And then I was like, okay, well, and I didn't know any energy healers in 2016. It's not something that was as common as it is today. Like now everybody I feel like knows the word Reiki and stuff like that. But really that's 10 years ago. It wasn't around. So
Yeah.
it's lucky that you found a flyer because like I told my mom and she was like, well, I got my cousin's wife's into some kind of thing like that. And she did arcing light, which was an angel energy healing thing. And I also like he was like, I don't know, angel healing. And then she called me on the phone and I told her what was going on and she was like, well, yeah, like come in, like we'll look at you and see what's happening because it's kind of similar to Reiki, but it's a little bit different. You don't need to have like symbols to turn it on. And I was
Hmm.
like, what's Reiki? And so anyway, that was a big, I had a very similar, that's so weird, but I had a very
Same
similar.
year too. Oh, I mean, it changed everything. And it changed the way it challenged the story I was taught about life having to be hard and linear, you know. Um, yeah, I did the first session on my husband at the end of the weekend, and I was like, set an intention. And I'd never set an intention in my life, right? And I said, set an intention. And he set the intention to be inspired. He laid on the floor of our apartment. I put the manual on his chest and literally just went around and like looking at the manual, did the thing. When it was done, he sat up and he looked at me. He just stared at me and then he left. He went to bed. I thought I did it wrong. I was like, oh man, like that's not how it worked in the class, you know? I was newly pregnant with my son Malachi. And in the morning I woke up and my husband wasn't there. He didn't come back till the afternoon. And when he did, he was all wild-eyed and he was like, I'm low-key scared of your gift. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like I don't have a gift. I have a manual. I have like a workshop, you know? And he said, I woke up this morning and it was just easy. And so, I went and did this, did that. And then he took our daughter, they went to the park, he grabbed his ukulele and a book, and he said it turned into a concert. Kids were dancing, and the parents were asking if I teach. And this guy came up and asked if I wanted to come up and jam with him. And then on the walk home, he'd been told he booked a gig and then never got an offer. And it'd been like 3 weeks. On the way home, he got an offer for the movie Get Out. Um, and it was funny because at the beginning of these classes, the teacher would say, set an intention. And it was very shallow, like what my mind was, and it was like, I just need to get out of LA on somebody else's dime because I don't have money. You know, we end up going to go see him, and they shot that in Alabama. We ended up being there for 2 weeks at like a Marriott resort on the dock of a bay. And it even occurred to me until afterwards that it was on somebody else's dime.
Oh yeah, perfect. Exactly what you asked for.
And when I took the advanced class, I asked for, I just was like, I needed money. I was like, my husband agreed to do this and that, and we don't have any money. And I felt like a jerk again, because the guy I was with was like asking for love for his autistic son. And I was like, I did it again, you know? Um, but like 2 weeks later, $35,000 came in the mail. And
That's pretty good.
it just, yeah, yeah. And it's just been like that, right? And so yeah, my practices have shifted and grown, but remembering that there's just so much more than we've been taught, and that there's a way out of the suffering, you know, that there's a way out of the suffering.
So then let's what do you think is beyond like okay, do you think we're more in a like a realm or like a simulation? Do you think we're more in like a what is the construct of this what we're living in versus like, behind the veil where there's other things going on? Like what is this? Do you think it's a school? You think it's a like what do you how do you view what Earth is for us?
I'm I feel like I hesitate to say it, but I really do feel it's like a simulation. And although I don't tie to anything, I have found in my work that we literally do work of reprogramming like the subconscious, right? Reprogramming the belief systems that we're operating from. And then actually get to see how reality shifts when that happens. I've seen things myself as far as pixelations, but also, I've been to I've had amazing practitioners like different chiropractics and things, and literally watch them while they're working on my family, watch binary code run down, like just like and yeah, and I've heard it said by teachers, some teachers, not all, right, that it's a game, that it's a game. And not to minimize, you know, the weight
Right.
of that game, right? Um, but I lean towards that. I lean towards that we are definitely a much, we're a spirit having this experience, right? But more and more, it feels like a simulation.
It does to me too. Sometimes there's just too many crazy synchronicities. There's too many, there's uh it's interesting how you can really almost calm down, change your energy, and get into a completely different world somehow.
100%. Yeah,
And to me, I'm
100%.
like, okay, so it's better to know how to program the simulation or to know how to play the game than to just be a victim to it and act like it isn't something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Recognizing our power within that.
and like you said, like not to minimize it in terms of like just because I think that it's uh I also think it's a simulation of some sort, or a construct. Some people don't like the word simulation. It's like, fine, okay, whatever, call it construct. Whatever you want to call it, it's I feel like we're in the movie Memento or something where you all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, oh wait, no, oh someone's shooting at me. Oh, okay, we got it's just like we're in the middle of the story and we don't even know how we began or how we got here.
Yeah.
And that's what's the really frustrating thing. And I think really the programs that we are fed, the whole like everything you watch on TV and social media and all this stuff, it's really interesting how much we get told what to think rather than really tapping into our own self and feeling into what we
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, and that something that I think is so important about that too is to recognize that in this thing that we're doing, right, this life, this program, this simulation, whatever we want to call it, we're constantly creating,
Hmm.
right? And so something that has become so important and so evident to me is,
No.
just you either get to create what you want to create or what somebody else wants to create because someone's harnessing your thought power, right? Someone's harnessing your creation power.
Okay,
Um,
just as you
I'll not
started
be
speaking
asked.
like that, it said it went unstable internet connection, and you went so
This
but
this happens for me. So what did you hear?
I heard I heard what happens in this game, what happens in this is, and then it froze.
It froze up. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, oh, you're frozen on my end now. Oh, how funny. Okay, you're back.
Okay.
What I said was we're constantly creating with our thoughts, our emotions, where we're creators. We're constantly creating. And if we don't consciously decide what we're creating, somebody else is using it for us.
Right.
Our thoughts, right? More and more that's become a mainstream understanding. Um, is it going crazy again?
Like it said, if you don't create your thoughts, then somebody else is creating for us. And then it froze. But that was a good point to freeze on, but it did freeze. Okay, but
Yeah. So to your point about social media, everything telling us what to think, right?
mhm.
As more of us think those things and expect those,
Dang it. Okay, let's try this again. All right, so we were talking some crazy stuff. Like, let's see, or apparently the AI was like, now.
there you were.
Yes.
Okay. On my end, you froze on AI, but now you're back. Um, so you want me just to pick up what we were talking about?
Yeah. Let's just pick up what we're talking about.
Um, so what were we saying? What I was saying is that in this realm, in this game, in this life, whatever we want to call it, right? We are constantly creating. When we talk about manifestation, about our thoughts and about how they aren't things that just exist within our head with no effect on others, right? Um, so we're constantly creating. But if you're looking at social media, if you're watching the news, if you're watching the weather and everything, the weather says it's going to rain today, and everybody looks at it and says it's going to rain, it's going to rain. Literally, our thought power is going in to create that.
Mm.
So, if we don't consciously take back the ownership of our thoughts, right, and the sovereignty of what we're thinking and what we're creating, others are going to use it to create what they're trying to create, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah, and I agree with that. So how do you, for people who are kind of like just new to this kind of journey, or they don't, maybe they get that what you're saying is true, but they don't know how to yet manipulate it for themselves, or have whatever you want to terminology you want to use. How do you start them out on that path?
Oh, unplug from the news. For me, that was the first step, was literally recognizing the toxicity there, and being like, well, hold on a second. If we know that cortisol, stress hormones shut down our immune system, and we know this as like a fact, right? And science knows that because doctors who do transplants actually use a synthesized version of cortisol to shut down the immune system to accept organs,
Mm,
right? So we know this. So then why is it when we watch the news or we watch most media, it's just constantly inundating us with that which causes stress, and things that we have no control over either, right? We have no
yeah,
control over. We don't know the truth of whatever the narrative is, but we're so firmly invested in that, like unplugging from the things that aren't necessary and aren't bringing you joy and actually don't you have any kind of power in, if that makes sense.
I agree with that. And I also think that something is, I don't know how much of a lot of people talk about the new earth or whatever. And I feel like that's coming, and that isn't part of it. The news cycle's not part of that. So I just kind of feel like, like if it's something that's gonna affect me, like, oh, you can't use this road, I'll find out about that. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, no, totally. It even, when you said you hear a lot about like the new earth, or we're shifting into the fifth dimension, or whatever that thing is, right? And whatever that looks like. What I found for myself was that sort of shift, some things just fall away when you're not in the frequency of it anymore. So, an example was one day a few years ago, I'm talking to my husband. I went to tell him one thing, but instead I opened my mouth and I started talking about chickens and talking about how we needed chickens and we were late. And when it was done, and after all the negotiating, I was like, I didn't want more responsibility. Like, I wasn't coming to you about chickens. Like, I was just gonna, But what ended up happening was we did get the chickens. And I don't watch the news. And I don't, do the whole social media in-depth sort of thing, right? And our chickens are giving us more eggs than we could eat a day. And I walked into Sprouts and they said, yeah, you saw there's no eggs, right? All the chickens are dead. And I was like, the chickens are dead? Chickens aren't dead much. No, all the chickens are dead. There's no eggs. And I hadn't heard about that, but we had all the eggs we needed, you know? And
right, right.
that's when I was sort of like, oh, that's the shift. It's not that there's going to be, this mass exodus or this
Event.
what's the word? Rapture where people are just going to disappear. And yet a lot of people have disappeared from my life.
Yeah.
No drama, no nothing. And a lot of times, if and when I do reconnect with some people that aren't in my daily life anymore, I understand why. Because frequency wise, our focus is very different and our realities are very different, you know.
Right. So it's not really like hard feelings. It's just like we got nothing in common anymore.
No, they just things just fall out. everything is so much frequency. Like I remember someone telling me, you could be like the one person who smokes cigarettes in a town. You go behind the building to smoke the cigarette, you're going to find the one other person who smokes cigarettes in
Right.
that town because we attract like attracts like, right? And so as we shift, things do fall away. People fall away, situations fall away, ways of thinking fall away, but then we're more, that of which we're matched to will be there.
Very cool. So I 100% agree with that. And I have seen like and for me this really started amplifying during COVID. Like I there are people that I used to talk to that it's not even personal. I just don't even remember who they are. Like I'm like all of a sudden like if I look back I'm like, wow, I have a completely different subset of people that I'm friends with today than I was in 2020, the beginning of 2020. It all started amplifying, during COVID, but also just like that 2020 marker for me was when like I don't know, like it just uh and some of it was personal and it was like fights. And others it was just like I don't know. Oh yeah, what happened to that person from high school that I used to talk to? I don't even know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just very,
majorly. And for me as well, total different world as far as who our circle is. And again, like I said, how I operate in the world, how my family moves in the world. 2020 was also when I started doing the subconscious reprogramming work, sacred activations. That came in then. When I realigned to what I work with, the energies I work with now, to be like, oh, I don't actually align with that I was studying or practicing.
mm,
Yeah, it was a big one. Well, 2020 vision.
right. I love that. So let's talk about okay, I actually listened to the telepathy tapes and you said, well, what I kind of do is close this to like episode 7 of telepathy tapes. And I was like, oh, I'll re-listen to that one. And I did, and it was like, oh, so do you mean like the hill? Like where all those kids meet on the hill?
Oh,
Like those,
I started going back to listen to it as well. I was so excited by the telepathy tapes, right?
yeah.
And I think it was by episode 7. I'm like, this is what I'm doing. Um, I'm trying to remember. So I
Like
was,
nonverbal kids are basically tapping into the veil, like they're having these
oh,
spiritual things they're seeing. They're talking about like that episode 7 was talking about like one little girl who would talk to God or then this one guy was trying to figure out like whether they could be lying or not, but they're not lying. And then they all seem to talk about how they go to this meetup place psychically and they hang out with each other.
yeah. Um, so yeah, and it starts off with the animal communicator, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, something in that episode, the animal communication. So that part, I do that as well, right? In that episode, I think, and you froze when you were talking. So when you said there's a little girl that says she talks to God, and then it froze for like
Oh.
20 seconds or more, on my end anyway. It was, I know at some point in that episode, and I didn't re-listen to it fully. I started to. It was the way I think the animal communicator was speaking about how everything has consciousness, right? And
Mhm.
how she communicates with that consciousness. And also somewhere in the non-speakers speaking about the hill and just, yeah, I tap into that. It's all there for really any of us to tap into what's there beyond what we see, hear and smell naturally. And I command energy and I tell it what to do. And I'm guided to sort of, yeah.
So do you think you're guided by your higher self or like your oversoul, or do you think it's just consciousness itself?
Oh, that's a good question. What's the difference?
Well, like that's the thing. It's like the individuation, or is it still part of the collective whole that is all behind the veil?
So I have a sense that behind the veil, it's like
Correct.
unity. It's
Yeah.
all one, and we're here experiencing ourselves differently. And it has come through to me again and again. Like I've seen my guides, like I've seen guides, I've seen angels, I've seen ET, I've seen all sorts of different energies that I work with, right? Like, whether it's Mother Mary or it's Ganesha or it's, all sorts of energies and beings come into my work. And I've been told again and again that it's all me.
Mm.
Like we call on different aspects of ourselves that come forward as Archangel Michael, or come forward as, whomever,
Right.
right? But what I've been told again and again is that at the end of the day, it's all you, honey. That's how they talk to me. It's all been you. It's always been you. Yeah, and I believe that for all of us. I don't think I'm special. I think that I've been fortunate enough to answer a call of remembrance that we all have the mandate for and the free will to choose or not to choose.
And do you think that like do you think there's a maybe like I guess I would say an amplification happening that like this is a lot of people, a lot of us are starting to wake up to this?
Oh, a thousand
Seems like that.
percent. Yeah. When did they say? Did they say it was 2012 or, the end of the
Oh
Mayan
yeah. It's
calendar?
yeah. Hmm.
Um, but I believe that was when they said that the veil was actually lifted and more of the higher frequencies started coming in for us to receive, you know.
I actually do think I mean that like 2012 was I would say my I would call it reawakening because I had a lot of things as a kid that would wake me up, right? But I think 2012 I it just got amplified in terms of I went down the whole rabbit holes of UFOs all the way to, like conspiracy theories, this, but I started to just that's the year that I started going, yeah, something's not right. Why haven't we been back to the moon? What's really going on here? What is this? What's going on here? I don't know
Yeah.
what I believe here. Like, let's look at this. And then and it's never stopped. And it really, really amplified and started for me in 2012.
Yeah. And I was always interested too. Also, always interested in the supernatural, always interested. I remembered earlier, like, oh my gosh, I remember going to the library in like the third grade and having a book on ESP, things like that. So, it's definitely in, and I was also actually always told I was a healer. Whenever I would go, I was always attracted to tarot readings or psychics, and I would always be told that. And it always just kind of went right over my head. And I was always been a storyteller, like either a writer or went to school for performance. And I was like, oh yeah, that's why I do it because, not for spotlight, but because stories cause catharsis, they cause healing. And then when I found out, like, oh, no, no, honey, you heal with your energy, you heal with your hands, you can place your hands on people. I was like, oh, duh, that had been coming through for a while and kind of going over my head.
And my husband like he thinks you're the top dog healer in the universe. He's always like, well, we could always just do we need to do Sarah's healing sessions. Like it's Sarah's healing things. And you have and like she's been doing these offerings recently. Are they called sacred activations? Like what are they called? The ones that you did like the series of
Oh,
four.
oh, like the series. Oh, so that one included sacred activations, but it was a colleague and I teamed up on a theme and we used sacred activations, but all of whatever gifts that we had that came through on that, yeah.
Well, we tuned into one a couple months ago, and you're able to like you can feel your energy force at your container that you hold, even on video, and even it's not live. Like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, that's Sacred Activations was actually the first time that I experienced that. So when I started doing IET, the integrated energy therapy, one of my classmates was like, "Yo, you got to listen to this MP3." And it's like mainly silent, you know what I mean? And they were. So Tamara brought this modality through, and so you listen to it and it's mainly silent, unless she's called to say something, and then at the end, and And I was not precious with these at all. I would just sort of put it on in the background. And one day I'm trying to pay my Discover card bill, and I hear her say, "Who says you can't be your own healer?" And all of a sudden my face is crying. But I'm not having an emotional recall. I'm not having any other experience except for having a physical release. And then I was like, oh dang, like something's happening here, or something's happening here. Um, yeah, yeah. So it's powerful work. It's really powerful work.
So do you like intentionally tap into energy to heal all the time, or is it, or do you just sort of see what will happen?
Oh, so when I'm working with a client or doing something, then I set an intention. I have my protocols, right? Everything is
Right.
always for the highest healing, highest good, highest blessings. I'm very clear on the energies that I work with. But once I create the container, for me, it really is as simple as saying, "Show me." Or, I study medical intuition, so I can like look at somebody, and if I just kind of imagine scrolling down their body, I receive information, and all in those things. What would I say? I would say that with every modality that I've ever learned, or every attunement I've ever gotten, right,
Mhm.
other things have activated as well, where I'm being taught one thing, but then I begin to see a different thing, or I experience a different thing. And that's been with
All the way
anything
along. Yeah.
that I've learned. Yeah. So when I started doing sacred activations, and I'm also always trying to figure out like, how does this work? Like that's how my mind works. Like, what is this? If I'm seeing something, I don't my first thought is, what is this trying to symbolize? What is it trying to tell me? And I did an experiment when we went to Sedona, and I had an aura photographer, did an oral photography, right? But I did the protocol that I do as far as like clearing, grounding, and then connecting, right? Um, and the machine went crazy. And she was like, it just kept going. She was like, oh, it's your Skittles, your Skittles, your Skittles. And when it finally settled on, an image, all of my family got readings. I didn't actually get a reading, except for I hope you do energy work because your aura is so big. And all, did the chakra reading. And of course, like my chakras aren't perfect, right? But in the picture, they were perfectly aligned. And I was like, well, who are my guides? And she was like, honey, that's all inside your aura. Everything is inside of your aura. And what I took from that was this protocol that I do for this energy is expanding my awareness to take in more information, right? Information that's already there, you know, and then through the work, we refine how individuals receive and process that information. But when we were taught in high school, right? Everything's just energy. That's
Yeah.
all it is, right? And that's all it is. And I think that's why sometimes I have a tricky time labeling myself because I'm like, it's energy medicine, right? All of it is just under the umbrella of energy medicine, you know.
And it's this weird because like I go as far now, okay, everybody thinks this is crazy. I don't believe in DNA. I think that basically we have a morphogenetic field, like an energy body, an energy and that's the blueprint. And I think DNA is like the sand that would build the structure, but I don't think it is in charge of, because like they've done these studies like with this Becker and stuff like back in the 80s where they cut off like a rat's foot and tail, and they use the same frequencies that salamanders use to grow their tails back, and they would play it on a plate on the bottom of the rat, and it over time would start regrowing its limbs. It would start regrowing a foot, regrowing its tail. And they repeated these experiments multiple times in the 80s, and then they just completely stopped doing it until this other guy called Jerry Tennant started doing it with, he's like the first guy that invented the LASIK eye surgery thing, but he started doing it for like people who had really bad accidents where their skin was like scraped off and stuff, and he was able to figure out like whatever the frequency was that healthy cells divide at, and he was able to restore their energy field, which then their skin started growing back naturally. So I think the future of everything is going to
Is
be in
frequency.
frequencies. and energy.
1000%.
It's not going to be in placebo pills or like, let's cut this thing and do this. I mean, those all have their value in emergency situations or something, but at the same time, like I think they're studying DNA. Look, when I was okay, I'm 43, and like it used to be, um, oh, junk DNA and all this stuff, and then now they know everything about like they don't know anything as much as they tell you what they know. And I think, I mean, and it changes all the time anyway. And I like, okay, yes, obviously there's genetics, like you, if you're gonna look semi like your two parents or something, but I just think that the DNA that we're looking at is more just like bricks in a house, but it's not the architect or the blueprint or like you can fit you I don't know that I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, but to me
What's
it's energy really is the real it's like it's not just woo woo. It's like the real bread and butter of what's going on.
Yeah, no, 1000%. You know, Dr. Bruce Lipton, epigenetics, right? So he
Mhm.
found that we were told that whatever your DNA is, whatever your genetics are, that's what you're going to be, right? You're going to be, which is it's also very disempowering, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, right? I was always told we have a family and we have addiction, we have this, we have this, we have this. So
Your
you got to just
families
not do
are
those things.
yeah.
Or always being told you're gonna have arthritis. You're gonna have, being told I'm gonna have these things because my mother had it or because it ran in the family, right? And
Mhm.
he's found in that work that that DNA can be activated in a number of ways and how environment overrides the nature aspect. I mean they found that children who were in adopted families acquired the diseases of the adopted
Of the
family,
adoptive
not the
parents.
family of origin. So I agree with you 100%. And there is so much blueprint in our energy field. And in my work, like I work with DNA out here, go in and light up this part of the DNA, activate shit, turn this off in the DNA. I mean, I almost wonder if it's kind of like a circuit board.
Right. Yeah. It does feel like that. And by the way, I've been admiring your Liberian glass, if that's what that's
Oh,
called.
thank you.
Because I'm like, oh, is that a Liberian? I love tektites. That's a like I think that there's more to the tektite world, which technically Liberian glass is,
Mhm.
than they're telling us. Like it's got some sort of oh, I think I know what it is. It's like I have had downloads, I guess you would call it, of that the sky used to be more crystalline, and then when it broke, like these are actual the tektites and all these things are actually parts of the old when the earth had a aura that was more like a constant aurora borealis all over the planet. So that's why I love tektites and I collect them and everything like that, and Liberian glass is actually part of that too. So I think it's like you're I feel like it's like you're carrying parts of the most beautiful aspect of the former earth.
Yeah, 100%, man. I feel that. I, I'm sorry, like brain fart. Some came up when you were talking and it fell out. Okay, come back if it's supposed to. I forgot what it was.
Well, so you're going to go to Glastonbury soon. Like, tell us about this whole thing. Can people go to this? What is that?
Oh yeah, so it's actually I keep saying sacred activation. So sacred activation modality that was brought in by Tamara Oviatt. She was she had all this other like theta. She had a bunch of different trainings, and then she was guided to the Rosslyn Chapel, and there she was guided to go up to the Akashic records. And when she was there was a being, and it was Lord Metatron, and she witnessed all of these seals is how she kind of describes them coming into her, and he said, now you're crystalline, go and share. And so through her modalities are really made, sacred activations was really how I really really opened up to where I am now. And so this is the first retreat that I think she's done in person, to just do a retreat, and it's going to Glastonbury. And so it might actually be sold out. It was open to practitioners or non-practitioners.
Right.
Um, but so we'll be going to like the inner circle of Stonehenge, and we're going to be going to, what is
Awesome.
it called? The tour, like walking the chakras. And I'm not sure what else that we're doing, but I know it's going to be major because what we said before we started recording, I keep talking to other practitioners who are going or in Glastonbury, so I really feel that there's something major that's happening
Yeah,
right now.
it's
We're
really
being
weird
called
how
there to do the work.
there are these weird portal places that just, I mean, like we're going to Mount Shasta this week, and I don't know, then I'm going to Japan in September, and it feels like there's, when you're called to a place, it's like a bee to a flame, like you
Can't
just
not, yeah.
you have to
Yeah. Um, yeah, we all hold a piece.
yeah, we really do. And I like we talked a little bit about how you think like people will just start falling out of your frequency, but like, yeah, I definitely feel like things are amping up, I would say. So what do you think's to come? Like how do you perceive um like all of this developing further in the future, like in the future you're creating?
In the future that if I can be honest, I don't, I don't, I actively aim to not
No.
ahead. Yeah, because right now it feels so fluid to me. It feels like we're standing on the precipice of so many choices, right? And depending, I mean, on a daily basis, I've felt myself change timelines, right? Like I do timeline work, we do all those types of things, but literally when issues come up in my life and I begin to identify when did this start, right? And then I go, one of my cousins does amazing timeline work, and she's just so great, and she'll take you right to when do you first remember that? When do you first remember that? And when I tell you issues that I've had for 15 years, right? Like say my relationship. Well, the first time this thing happened, like, was this, and going to that point and clearing and rewriting it. And there's more days I wake up and I'm like, oh, it's different. And I can feel the way it's different. I can feel the way the relationships are different. I can feel the way I'm not having the same thoughts or the same triggers that I had, right?
Mm,
So to me, it's all fluid. And I consciously practice being right here because that's where our power is, right?
right.
It's just in this moment, right? And so the things that I do feel clear in are that when people talk about new earth and all those things, I don't, I have a hard time believing that suffering is going to fall out of all consciousness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do believe that this 3D world, the politics, the blah blah blah, the blah blah blah, that's all going to keep existing. I really, be happy to see it be different, right? But it's not going to be in my world, you know, because it's already less and less a part of my world. Like I don't even, you know, even my husband's an actor, and he'll bring up Pada, and I'm like, oh, is that person alive? No, I don't even know which actors are still here. So many things that were just such a big part of growing up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know who's, and I'm also not affected by it. That I notice that more and more the things I'm affected by are actually internal world things, and as those shift, my world changes, and I have a very strong knowing that as we all shift our internal worlds and create harmony within our own systems, right? You create harmony within your body, spirit, mind, right? And
Hmm.
then within your family, and then within your community, and then with that it ripples out. And so many more people are awakening. So many more people are doing the work, are doing the everything that I feel very promising about my world. What's going forward, you know.
Well, and
Um,
I know that I hadn't got to do it yet, but I know Joaquin talked about he did one of your online things what was about self-love, and he did some series of something, and it was um like you were basically walking through people through how to love themselves and how that feels, and it seems like there's some level of teaching people in a way how to maybe clear some trauma.
Oh yeah. Oh, full on. And I remembered. I remember we were talking about the episode 7 that of the telepathy tapes. It was the way that they're accessing just consciousness.
Right.
When I said like what I do. So I've had it happen where um and they even talked about how some of the children don't have to read the books,
Right. They
right?
just
They
touch their
put their
hand
hand
on
on
it
it.
and then, yeah.
So my mentor had told me when I was like, I want you, she's an amazing medical intuitive, said, I would teach me what you do. And she was like, go out and get an anatomy. Got the anatomy book. I haven't read the anatomy book. I haven't studied the anatomy book. The anatomy book is in my home. And I will be working on somebody and I will be shown pictures of anatomy. I will be shown the eyes come like
Right. Yeah.
and actually hear names of parts of the brain, parts of the body I don't know anything about, that I'm literally, search engineing. Oh, what does that do? What does the brainstem do?
Right.
But it actually fully applies to what they're dealing with. And when she talked about savant syndrome, right? And how they're finding that, oh, what if it's not them spontaneously knowing, but just accessing the information, the energy, right? And the information within that energy that's just around all of us. And in my sessions, that happens. Like I talk about all sorts of things and work on all sorts of things I have zero education on. And I say work on them. I don't mean like I'm, poking people with anything. It's all, when it comes to that work, it's usually remote or I'm told to touch something.
And I
But
did a session with you, it's been a while now, but um I remember like you held space and I didn't know what was going on for a minute, but I just was like meditating in a meditative state with you while you were going through some stuff and you weren't necessarily talking out loud then, but I literally in my dream space had a meeting with Merlin and I had never ever talked to him or had no idea. I mean, I've watched Sword in the Stone or I knew some stuff from as a kid, but
mhm.
I think I'm in and out of focus here.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was like, oh wow. I mean, it ended up being I got I got messages through your space in
And
addition
that's
to what you got.
and that's like and um that is so part of my intention, you know. I because really this work and the truth about this work and the truth about who we really are and what we're really wired for, right? Um, is about empowerment, right? The basic 3D world that we're raised in is so disempowering. Like you said, everything is telling us what to think. And guess what? How often of it is it uplifting? How often is it an empowering thing to
It's a
think, right?
limitation game.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a terrible business model, but for me, I'm happy for my clients not to need me to turn on their thing, to turn on their gifts, to turn on their receptors, to call in their guides, right? Because that's my dream is for everyone to be able to be tapped in to their yum. Do you know what I mean? And their power within that to create harmony, to create that harmony.
And I think it's almost like once you can physically and Joaquin always talks about how you have the ability to like grab somebody and take them on the journey with you astrally in some kind of way. And I feel like once people really have a visceral experience of that, then they know it's possible and then they can do it on their own.
Yeah.
Once they
Yeah.
feel what it feels like to do it, then they can do it on their own.
Yeah, because if you don't know, you don't know, right? Like I assumed everybody's hands vibrated until until I found out not everybody feels that. Well, we don't know. And so many people too are operating also within their gifts and not recognizing it because you don't know what you don't know,
That's
you
that's
know?
that's def that's definitely true. Like, like I used to be a pretty good weather manipulator and like I assumed everybody could do that.
Hmm.
And then you don't know that they don't, when it's and we don't talk about these kinds of things enough to share with each other to even know what's possible or not. I talked to this one girl told me one time, she was like, "Oh, do you know how I stay thin?" And I was like, Okay, sure. Let me know. Tell me how you stay thin. And she's like, I can change the taste of anything I'm gonna eat to ice cream. So I could just eat spinach and I just look at it and I like tell it that it's gonna taste like ice cream when I eat it. And
Yeah.
she's like, and then I eat the spinach, but to me it tastes like ice cream.
That's so cool.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's pretty
It,
cool. I tried it, didn't really work for me, but
well, and I remember being told, actually, like, like I said, when I used to go to Agape, in one of the sermons, him talking about how, yeah, you can bless a Snickers into having the same nutritional value as broccoli, but why not eat the broccoli is what he'd end
right,
up
right.
saying. But before I eat, I always do that, and I recommend everybody do that. In your mind, people pray over their food. I we always bless our food and call on the perfect frequency, right? Because it's easy. I've heard somebody, I don't know if the term is killed, right? To get so disillusioned, like, oh, if I grow my own food, it doesn't matter because they're raining metal particles on the
Right,
food.
right.
Like
Yeah.
the no win, right? Which actually exists at any level of the game, whatever game that you're playing, right?
Right.
There can be that. Um, Man, everything we do, I teach my kids like just bless it to the frequency and the minerals of exactly
What you
what you need in this moment. Bless the water, bless the food, and whatever it is that bring the exact frequency of what your need is. So, you know.
Yeah, and because you can get a little bit like, oh, I can't use this cleaning product because that's toxic, and this is toxic, and that's toxic, and I can't wear these yoga pants because that's toxic, and I can't put on this
Mhm.
lipstick because this is it gets to a point where I'm like, or I could just make it not toxic. I could
Mhm.
just decide that I'm not believing it's toxic.
And
And
I mean, it's the same with our tools, right? How we use crystals and things like that. And at some point, you can just call on the frequency of that crystal without having to hold
right,
it.
it doesn't have to be on your neck. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at some point, we'll also be at a frequency where we don't need the tools, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think we're at a stage where we're still like these are the training wheels. They haven't come off yet, but and they're pretty.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. And they're sentient, right? I don't know about you, but crystals speak to me.
I mean, I've been like that's one thing that has been activated in me since birth is that my rock collection is a little bit hoarderish. It's crazy, but I I've just been collecting them physically with my hands since I was a baby. Like my mom would be like, "Okay, Nikki, what do you want me to do with all these rocks?" And I never would let her throw them all the way. I always like you have to put them in the garden. You have to like, and I always knew what there was to do. And they make noise to me. I can hear them. Some, not every single one, and not all the time, but like they're just like people where they talk to you specifically and they hum to you and they give you telepathic downloads. At least that's what they do to me. And and I just think like if you don't hear if you're not physically hearing noises like I hear them, then if you have a compulsion, if you keep looking at that one, you keep on being kind of attracted to it, there's a reason. Like that's what that is for you.
Yeah.
And because it is a sentient frozen piece of light. So, we're an electric guest and it's been here the whole time. So it experiences time differently. So it's really nice to really interact with something that doesn't see time as linear.
100%. Yeah, my stones and crystals, they'll tell me who's coming to a session. I've got a couple of my bowls. You can probably see them in the back there.
Oh
The
yeah, there's a
bottom one
big
is,
crystal ball. That one looks like a huge crystal ball. That
oh
middle.
yeah, do you want
Yeah,
that's
let's hear it.
yeah, she's Tesseract salt.
Oh wow.
Oh. Oh, I don't know if I have my
This thing.
I might have actually taken my
Mallet
I
out.
just used her in a session. Yeah, so she's Tesseract salt, platinum, and aqua or gold.
Wow.
And again, like the way things come, like I have like 10 of these alchemized bowls. And they just came to me as far as like, a mentor coming in, and she kept kind of bringing these bowls. I'm like, these are expensive. And she was like, pay me whatever once a month. It doesn't matter. Like you're supposed to have them. And so I have about like $20,000 worth.
I was gonna say those are thousands of dollars.
Oh,
Those are
oh
really
yeah, yeah.
expensive.
Oh, I have a Moldavite one downstairs.
A Moldavite crystal. Well, Sarah, I need to get onto your manifestation bowl thing because that's cool.
Because they just the things just come to me, right? But you never would who would have thought like, oh, and I also have had healer friends be like, oh, those are rich people, their whatever their program is. And I'm like, well, I'm not that. And you know what I mean? Like, but the
Right?
tools come
But
to
I,
us,
I
right?
mean, yeah,
I don't know if you can hear her.
yeah, I can hear a little bit.
Well, some of these, the frequency they play at, I play them and the person on the other side doesn't hear anything. But they receive the frequency, but because of the electronics, they don't know. But yeah, ooh, so yeah, that's Tessie. She's one of my master bowls. I have
That's
two.
awesome. Yeah, I have about 21 Tibetan singing bowls, like really big ones all the way down to little ones. And I even have one that I put on people's third eye. It goes ding.
Ding.
And then I have two crystal bowls, but I want to get the full chakra set.
Oh yeah, yeah. This and they tell me, like she asked to be this morning, and I was like, okay, and I played it, and I was like, oh, because it's wood floors, and I played her, and it was just like I could feel it going up my feet, and I could also feel and receive the information that she was recalibrating the room and putting in acting the room, which makes sense, right? Salt,
Yeah, it does.
right?
I mean, and then that makes me kind of go like, I gave one of my singing bowls. One of my friends had a hysterectomy a couple years ago, and she had been having um kind of some sort of pooling tightness in her lower abdomen that she didn't really talk about that much because she just like had to live with it now. And like, so she said she couldn't touch her toes anymore, kind of thing. And then I was just like, well, let's do a sound bath at my house. So she came over. We did I put like a whole bunch of bowls around her, and I put this one, like my favorite heart chakra one, put it on her stomach. And then that's the cool thing about the Tibetan ones is that they're pretty hardy, so you can put them on people's bodies and do it.
Yeah.
So I put it on her body, and I just went for like 20 minutes doing this whole thing. And then the next morning she was like, "Oh my God, I could touch my toes. Like that pool is completely gone." She's like, What is this bowl? Like, which was the one that you had on my stomach? Which was this like, yeah. And so I ended up just giving her it because she was so enamored with it. And I was like, well, that must be the frequency you need. Like that is
Yeah.
really what's like your healing frequency. So go play it. Play it when you
Oh,
need it. Because I do think frequencies, the problem is just I don't think we know enough yet about frequencies. It's like we're playing with these things, but we don't know like, and I actually do sort of feel like, we each have a different voice signature. I think we have a different energy signatures for different things too. So we're gonna have to figure out like really what that is.
yeah. See, I don't do a lot of the figuring. I I don't, but when we tap in, I feel like it like you're talking about the downloads, like they reveal themselves, right? They reveal
Yeah.
themselves. And like even in sessions, it's funny, because I'll be like, oh, I think this is what's needed. Bring in this energy. Dude, I'll know. I'll just hear, nope. Okay, you're right. Like, tell me what do we need? Tell me what it is. You know what I mean? And if it's not what they need, it literally doesn't run. It literally won't come in, you know.
So are you like a master meditator? Is that like one of the power sources to clear you?
I don't meditate enough. No.
I don't really either. And I think that I think that in a way I find that refreshing to hear because you have people who think that there are these protocol. You have to do X, Y, Z in exactly this order, and you have to meditate for 5 years straight every single day for an hour before you really clear it. And I just think that not everybody has the same way to tap in. Like that's not true
No,
for everybody.
no, full on. And it's I mean I will say that in the times of my life that I was meditating and doing certain things daily, it's a game changer, right? It is a game changer. And with the work I do, it's really been getting the attunements, right? So the again, a mentor, the way that she described it is when you get attuned to something, you're just getting a Wi-Fi code. You now have access to a frequency you didn't before. And actually through sacred activations was, which, like I said, which each thing, I did IET, and then with IET I started meditating because you can just like hold the mudra and feel the energy. And I was pregnant, so there wasn't a whole lot else I could do beside, and I would just right. And that's when I first started actually getting images come into my mind before things would happen, or like I'm looking for a shoe and then all of a sudden I see it in my head and I turn on there, like things like that.
Okay.
Um, uh, by the time I started doing sacred activations, that's what I found. I found that it opened my awareness so much. By the time I did the medical intuitive level, I had a freaky little time there for a minute because one of the days after class, and they're all done on the computer. So you're doing it on Zoom and you're practicing with people in breakout rooms, and that's how the classes are structured. And somebody worked on me, and when I walked out that time, I started hearing everything. And I've since had to like close it down. Um,
Right.
I
Yeah.
started hearing the animals. I walked past a plant and it told me if it needed water or demanded a new pot, or yeah, I remember being at a friend's at the time and walking in and hearing her dog come in and literally hearing, "Oh well, there goes my back again." And I was like,
That's
and I
okay.
was like, "Can I help you?" "No, just absorbing." And I was like, "Hey, have you ever heard, because she was an energy worker as well." And I was like, "Have you ever heard his voice?" And she said, "Yeah, he sounds like Eeyore." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I literally just heard this dude's voice." And it's not always that clear. A lot of times it can also just be like, my own, the voice that you hear in your head that's,
Right. Right.
that's
Right.
yours. I can hear it like that. But yeah, at that time it got very intense, and it just became clear to me like I'm taking in so much information. And the thing is you got to bring your nervous system with you. Um
Yeah. You still have to go to the grocery store.
you still have to be able to exist. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's been the thing is constantly needing to upgrade my nervous system, constantly needing to upgrade it to hold the bandwidth, you know.
Very cool. Okay, so tell us what your offerings are. Like what do
Oh,
you do one-on-one sessions with people? Like what's
I do, yeah. And so I do one-on-one sessions, both in person. I'm located outside of LA in California, but mostly remotely, actually. People all over the world, either on the phone or on Zoom. Um, all of the work works whether we're together or not. It works the
Yeah,
same.
and I did it with you online and it was great.
Yeah, and so I do one-on-one sessions. I do group sessions. I teach. So August 8th and 9th, like the modality I keep talking about today, sacred activations. I'm a teacher of that. So I teach the first level, master level, and medical intuitive level that teaches you how to communicate with organs and do all sorts of things like that. I also teach IET, integrated energy therapy. Anything that I practice, I teach. But
Cool.
yeah, and my website's saragarcia.com. I've just recently started posting anything on social media. Right now, my handle's theemommymage on an IG. Um,
Okay. I'll put it up here too.
TheeMommymage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that's and but you're mainly so you're not going to start a podcast or anything like that yet, or what do you think
oh,
about
I
all
don't
that?
know, man. I'm just, what I would love if all of these structures kind of came together and I could just show up and do the part
Right. Yeah,
that I
be a
love to
guest
do.
on a ton of podcasts. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
yeah, or I've been on there was a thing called metaprogramming in the human biocomputer, a show, which is also what we do with the subconscious. And around there, and I was working on 100 people at the same time. And I'm like, easy, let's do this. Hey, can you write a bio? Frozen, you know.
Wild, but that,
So
yeah.
yeah, so all those things might be, down the road. I kind of received a message today to start doing weekly lives, and I heard prayers for the collective. And so, that might become, I've never done an IG live or anything like that, but it might become something like
Really
that, where
start
weekly
doing
I come on and you can join or not join, and running the energies and doing what's being called forth for the collective at that time.
I think that that would go over really well, actually.
Yeah.
So, okay, is there anything that we that I haven't asked that you think we should talk about?
Oh, good question. Man, I my
Or
prayer
or if
tell
you
me.
want to tap in and see if there's any collective message or something, I don't know.
Oh, okay, I could do that. Um, let's see. Okay. I'll just tell you what I hear, right?
Mhm.
So when I hear it's funny because they're always making jokes or being sarcastic. So I hear, Sarah, it's an important time. And when I paused, I was, no, say it. Say, Sarah is like I'm waiting for the message, right? So let's see. Sarah, this is an important time. The remembrance and the up level to upgrade and know the true self. The new grids are in place and the energy is coming in. Each must flip their switch. For believe it or not, it is that easy. And I'm being shown like a light switch, just like flipping on.
Mm.
We each hold a key. Um, this is something that I've seen in the past, but what I'm being shown is it almost looks like paper dolls, and like one person has a key and one person has a lock. The new sacred geometry is here. It's like showing me that we unlock things within each other and then stand atop each other.
Mm.
They say that the great awakening has begun. Step forward. Tell them to step forward because they don't know what key, like they don't know what key they hold that might unlock something for someone else and for the collective. Yeah, the keys I was always saying like is each of us holds a key. Each
That
of
makes
us
so much
holds a
sense,
key.
though. You're right.
Each of us holds a key. Flip the switch. Each of us holds a key.
I think that's beautiful. And I mean, I tell a lot of people, I have a couple of psychic friends that have been talking about they want to start a podcast, da, da, da. And I'm like, do it. I will Zoom with you and walk you through exactly how to open every aspect of YouTube. I will tell you how to I will show you, I will hold your hand. And I'll do it for you too if you want. But the thing is that like everybody you could say, "Oh, all is love." 100 people could say it, but just the way one person says it might really, really like speak to somebody. Like we all have like frequency keys in our vocal tones and in our presentation styles, and then who we actually are as an energy frequency. And the more of us that come out like lighting up, the better because it just will help everybody.
100%. And then as you were talking, an energy started coming in. So it's like an emerald gold flecked energy started coming in. So anybody who's watching, what I'm hearing is they need only say yes to accept the blessing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a whole recalibration coming in. I didn't anticipate that.
Yeah, feels amazing. I can feel it. I
Can you
can
feel it?
feel
Okay, cool.
energy right now. I'm like, yeah, wow. There's like, I could feel it around my whole body right now. Like that's why I'm like, damn, girl, you always like bring it, and it feels so amazing. I love that.
Uh, oof,
Now
oof,
I am energy sensitive, but it does it. I'm telling you, I think even people who really aren't can feel some of your stuff. So yeah, this is great, Sarah.
thank you. Thank you for having me and thank you for chatting me up even when I get like, I don't know what to say. Like, it's the best. You're the best.
Well, I love all of it. We'll have you again when you have your amazing other systems that keep on coming up through, like as you will. So it's going to be you'll be on again sometime.
Forward to it.
Okay, cool. And again, it's saragarcia.com, and you can get a personal session with her or group sessions. And she's got a lot of stuff coming up, and she's switched her switch. She's on. So go look at her light. Bye, guys.
Thank you.